Merry Christmas Eve, everyone! Are you having a good day/evening wherever you are? I certainly hope so, because as per usual, I got a ton of questions from y'all that I'm ready to answer today. Ad Silver the Hedgehog and Loki fan asks, if Silver and Blaze make their debut in the Sonic movies, who would you want to voice them? I have no idea for Blaze, but for Silver, assuming he can tone down his more vulgar side, I'd say Ryan Reynolds. Which trio is your favorite between Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, Sonic, Shadow, and Silver, or Shadow, Rouge, and Omega? Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. They are the definitive Sonic trio. Alistair6531 asks, got any franchises you like that are very underappreciated? Not really. Most of the franchises I like are well known and well liked by the general public, but if you had to make me pick one, I guess maybe Outlast? I don't know. What's your opinion on the Warhammer franchise? I have not engaged with that franchise. Alex Scrappets asks, did you grow up with other video game franchises besides Sonic and Mario? Yeah, I did. It wasn't until later in my life, but I did grow up with Kirby and a little bit of Zelda. Andrew Cassidy Brooks asks, as someone who is shown to hate the Mimic in FNAF, what do you think of Secret of the Mimic? I was actually very impressed by that game when I first streamed it, though it has been a while since I played it. I do want to eventually 100% complete it, so maybe when the VR version comes out, I'll have an updated opinion. Andrew Potts asks, what are your thoughts on the current situation of Roblox's lack of protection against certain strangers? They need to get up off their asses and fix that. We need to protect our children on all platforms, not just Roblox. Favorite anime/manga? Don't have one. I don't really engage in anime or manga. Awestruck asks, would you rather have unlimited bacon but no games, or unlimited gains but no bacon? Unlimited gains but no bacon. I am a gamer first and foremost. I can live without bacon. Axel5 asks, what introduced you to Sonic? My mom, actually. She played Sonic back in the day, and when I was old enough, she introduced me to him. Do you see any creepypastas getting their own movie? Of course I do. Besides Slender Man, Jeff the Killer, Ben Drowned, depending on how they do it, and Eyeless Jack could all make for some good movies. It just depends on the execution at the end of the day. Be Creative asks, what are your top 3 desserts? Chocolate ice cream, chocolate cake, and chocolate brownies with chocolate chips. Can you tell I like chocolate? If you had to choose a different matchup for Kara and EXE, who would you pick? For Kara, I'd probably go with the Batter, and for EXE, I'd probably go with Air Sands. Bill Cipher Minion _13 asks, what is your favorite game that came out in 2025? Dispatch. What a phenomenal experience that was. What are your thoughts on Olimar vs. Slugcat? It's fine, I guess, but I'm not too familiar with Rain World to really get a good opinion. Chad Peterson asks, which dead or dying franchise would you revive, and which franchise would you kill in its place? I'd kill Bubsy to resurrect Knights. Fair trade if you ask me. Which Ridley matchup works better, Ridley vs. Carnage or Ridley vs. Sabretooth? Ridley vs. Carnage, but it's not my favorite for either. Dark Age asks, if Dementio is added to SMG4, what would you do with them? I have no idea. SMG4 does all sorts of wild stuff with all sorts of Mario characters, so I could never figure out something for Dementio. If you were to make your own Glitch Productions show, what would it be? I guess I'd help make Pitbull's Realm of Memory show even bigger. The guy's got some great vision that could be expanded upon. DJ Chiaro asks, if Mario were to return to Death Battle, who do you want him to fight? I think I'd like him to fight Kirby. It seems ironically more thematically appropriate than Mario vs. Sonic. DreamWorks Animation Fan 1995 4.0 asks, do you think Anna Kendrick should voice Amy Rose in Sonic Movie 4? Potentially. Her poppy voice would fit Amy, but I'd have to wait and see before fully committing. Do you think Ben Schwartz should voice Metal Sonic in Sonic Movie 4? It'd be fitting, but it depends on if they want Metal Sonic to talk or not, which, hey, they may or may not. We'll have to wait and see. Edgelord asks, favorite character to play in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Sonic the Hedgehog. Who else? Favorite indie game? Undertale. What else? And Mr. Turboman asks, have you played any of the most recent SpongeBob games? Why yes, I played and 100% completed Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, and I played some of the Cosmic Shake. What's your opinion on SpongeBob as a whole? It was a fun show to watch as a kid, but nowadays I'm more or less a casual observer, not a real fan. Eric Martinez asks, what's your favorite dinosaur? Tyrannosaurus Rex. Ethan Kasem asks, out of all the characters returning for Sonic Racing Crossworlds, who are you the most excited to see returning? Knights, easily. That series has been gone for far too long. What is your favorite track in Sonic Racing Crossworlds so far? Kronos Island, easily the best one by far. Fiction Boy asks, if you could narrow down the number of possible endings in Shadow of 5 from 10 to 3, which hero, anti-hero, and villain endings would you want? Okay, for hero, it's pure hero, for anti-hero, it's semi-dark, and for villain, it's pure dark. Aside from the movie Sonic, Knuckles, and Shadow, what are your favorite voiceover roles from Ben Schwartz, Idris Elba, and Keanu Reeves? Okay, for Ben Schwartz, it's Dewey Duck, for Idris Elba, it's Chief Bogo, and for Keanu Reeves, it's Duke Kaboom. Gavin Casey asks, would you ever tell us DT's backstory?
It'll happen when it happens, not a minute before and not a minute later. Just be patient.
Thank you, DT. Which Skywalker would you rather fight Paul Atreides in death battle, Luke or Anakin? I would go with Luke. He seems a bit more fitting than Anakin. Jello asks, who are your top 5 most wanted characters for Indie Cross? Hat Kid, Shantae, Spark, Lilac, and Mono. What's your favorite episode of Murder Drones and why? Episode 8, Absolute End, because it is peak awesome. God's Little Princess asks, what is your favorite video from Josh Gorger? This might be recency bias talking, but Blaze vs. Starfire is my current favorite. If you don't count that for whatever reason, then pick one of the fails videos. Those are pretty good. What is the grossest thing you ever ate and did you get sick from it? I'm not sure I can answer that. Not because I'll get demonetized or anything, but because I genuinely don't know. I've eaten a couple gross things before, but I don't think I've ever gotten sick from anything. I'm the Coolest asks, will you ever do a year dedicated to a franchise like the year of Sonic again? Maybe someday. I would like to do a year of Mega Man or Kirby or even Crash Bandicoot someday. Is there any gaming franchise that you like to research about their lore? Oh yeah, totally. There's so many, in fact. Indie Skits asks, what do you think of the Indie Cross web series and who do you want to see in episode 3? I love that series, and as for who I want to see in episode 3, well, we know 2 are confirmed to show up, and besides the recent reveal of Zagreus, I hope Hat Kid is the other one. Eumel asks, what is your most wanted character in Smash Bros? Dr. Eggman. What's your least favorite indie game? It's gonna suck to say this, but Penny's Big Breakaway. I have a whole video discussing why. Isis Violet 99 asks, what inspired you to do YouTube in the first place? Honestly, a whole bunch of different YouTubers. I saw them making all sorts of videos and thought, I want to do that. And so I did. What are your thoughts on Hazbin Hotel and Hell of a Boss? I don't watch those shows. They're absolutely not for me. Jack asks, what are your thoughts on the upcoming Steam machine? It seems neat. Not something I'm planning on buying, but it's a nice option for those that want it. Since Kamen Rider Geats has won Death Battle's Champions Island, I'd like to know your thoughts on Kamen Rider and if you'd ever consider watching it. I have not actually sat down and watched anything Kamen Rider related, but from what little I've seen through clips...
It sounds pretentious.
Thank you.
Jamil Zayas asks, did you know that Frontiers apparently gave an update that not only fixes Knuckles' glide, but also did away with the perfect parry BS? Yes, I did, and I'm glad those are fixed, though I think they overdid it a little bit with the perfect parry. Can you do a lightning round ranking the special zones from worst to best right now? No, I would absolutely not, because I'd have to really think about that. I mean, I don't mind the special stages, but ranking the worst from the best ones, that'd take quite a bit of time. Joseph Sharp asks, was there any show or movie you watched this year that was a massive standout to you? Absolutely. In terms of shows, It, Welcome to Derry, and The Pit were really good. And in terms of movies, The Fantastic Four First Steps and The Running Man were really good as well. Are you sad about SMG4 ending? Yeah, but it was inevitable. Don't think YouTubers are gonna live forever, people. They're people just like us. Just Your Normal Joe asks, if you could cosplay as any character, who would it be and why? Well, I've already cosplayed as Jeff the Killer and Ghostface, so in terms of others, I'd like to cosplay as Slender Man or Michael Myers someday. Can you tell I like horror characters? Are you allergic to anything? I used to have a mild dairy allergy, but I've since grown out of it. Had to spend a year eating cheeseless pizzas though. That wasn't very fun. Leo Infinite asks, which MLPG 5 matchup do you think is better? Deku vs Sunny Star Scout or Opaline vs Dr. Starline? I'd say Opaline vs Dr. Starline, but even then I don't care about it at all. I don't watch MLPG 5. Do you think SMG4 vs Devil Artemis should happen one day despite the fact that SMG4 is ending? Honestly, yeah, it's just a really good matchup. In fact, since SMG4 is ending, that'll make the analysis much more poignant than if it was still ongoing. Elfon TV asks, which video that you made nowadays were you the most embarrassed by? I'm not really embarrassed by most of my content, but if I had to pick one, I guess the one where me and DT did Hat Kids dance, but even then, that was kind of self-inflicted. What was your favorite thing to get for Christmas? I honestly couldn't tell you. I get a lot of stuff for Christmas that I can't say. Lucas Joy asks, if you could live the life of a character for a day and a decade, who would those characters be? For a day, I'd pick the life of Kirby, and for a decade, I'd pick the life of Sonic. I practically am already. Lewis123, aka Luckbutter21 asks, any characters you want for Sonic Racing Crossroads? Well, most of the ones I would want are already coming, so I guess Rystar and Joe Musashi would be cool. Manuel Murray asks, what show do you feel like you want to watch more, The Owl House or Amphibia? Amphibia. No offense to Owl House, but that doesn't seem like my kind of show, while Amphibia actually looks pretty interesting. Out of every single Death Battle matchup from 2025, which one would come out on top if they were to work as a duo? Simone and Kyle easily. Those guys are on a whole other level of bullshit. Mario and Sonic fan asks, aside from the obvious, if you had to pick at least one character to meet, who would you choose and why? I'd pick Mario. He seems like a really cool dude. How far have you gotten in Silksong if you started playing it? I have not started playing it, so I can't really say I've gotten very far, can I? McHugh fam asks, if Sonic had an expansive rogues gallery including villains from the games, comics, cartoons, and film series to rival Sonic, who would you pick? I'm not sure I understand the question. Sonic already has an expansive rogues gallery across all those mediums, and they all kind of just blend together anyways, so what are you asking? What are your favorite versions of Afton, both canon and fanon? I'm not really sure how to answer in the fanon, but in terms of canon, I'm gonna go with the FNAF movie, specifically the first one. Media Mobster asks, what are your most wanted Mario matchups? Ignoring the post I made well after the fact, my top 3 currently are Paper Mario vs. You, and Tasma vs. Darkrai, and Waluigi vs. Robbie Rotten. Mega Player asks, who do you think will win in a fight, Ghostface or Jeff the Killer? That depends. Is it one Ghostface or are there multiple? If there's multiple, then Jeff could probably be overpowered, but if it's just a one-on-one, I'd say Jeff wins more time than not. What SpongeBob episode is your favorite and least favorite? I can't answer that because I don't watch enough SpongeBob. I usually just watch random episodes whenever they air. Munina asks, have you ever seen any Transformers media? Oh yeah, I have. I've seen most of the Bayverse movies, some episodes of the original TV show, and Transformers 1. What's your opinion on mocktails? Can't say, never had one. Muhammad Ibrahim Raza asks, what's one franchise you want to see represented in a potential Smash Bros. 6? I don't think we should get a Smash Bros. 6 at all, but if we did, I think Ninja Gaiden would be a cool addition. If you have played or heard about the Danganronpa series, which character from it is your favorite? I have not played it, so I can't answer that. Niall Ali Khan asks, are there any old videos on your channel that you would probably think needs to be remade? Oh yeah, totally. In fact, I'm remaking one next year. Who is your most hated YouTuber of all time? Ranting for Vengeance. This guy is an actual bigot, racist, and he's proud of it. Nathaniel the Average Creator asks, will Kara vs Sonic.exe still remain as your most wanted matchup for Death Battle? Honestly, I'm not too sure. It might, but then again, with Nebula Theater doing it, I'm kinda satisfied with it. What are your favorite and least favorite Undertale AUs? I said this last year, but I guess I'll say it again. My favorite would probably be Story Shit, and my least favorite would probably be Glitch Tail. Norm asks, if you bother with this, what's your favorite IDW exclusive Sonic character? This is going purely based on what little screenshots I've seen, but I like Tangle the best. What character in any media you've consumed had the most wasted potential to you? Vanny from FNAF. Say what you will about other wasted characters, at least they bothered to show up. Orenberry asks, what is your preferred opponent for every viable Murder Drones character? Uzi vs Izzy Fisher, N vs Penny Palandina, V vs Power, Sin vs Am, and Doll vs Infinite. Will you ever make an updated top 10 most wanted matchups? Of course I will. In fact, it'll be after Gru vs Megamind comes out. Pikachu Boy asks, what's your least favorite game of all time? Sonic Freeriders, the only game in existence that's actively painful to play. Who's your favorite Puyo Puyo character? I can't say as I'm not too familiar with the series. Pink Sheep 752 asks, what are your thoughts on the Mario and Luigi vs Sephiroth matchup? I don't take it very seriously, but I guess it's kind of funny. If you could think of any other matchups against the stick figures from the Animator vs Animation series, what would you want them to be? That's a very complicated question to answer, mostly because most of the stick figures just kind of blend together. Pyromaster645 asks, what tips would you give for making YouTube videos as a beginner? Make sure all your thoughts are written down neatly in a script of some kind, make sure you go with the free/affordable editing software, and above all else, make sure you're confident in what you're about to say. How would you rank the Mario and Luigi barbershop bosses from worst to best? I don't know how I'd rank all of them, but I can tell you that the worst one in my opinion is Gunk Pipe, and the best one in my opinion is Glom Bowser. Red Hot Iron 23 asks, have you watched K-Pop Demon Hunters? If so, what's your opinion on it? I've yet to see it, but I want to at some point. What's your favorite Metroid game? Metroid Dread. I love that game quite a bit. Renai asks, do DT, OT, and IT have stills? Currently only DT does, but OT and IT are fine not having any. They're good on the crew. In your opinion, how did the playable team fights in Sonic Heroes play out? Like, canonically speaking? If so, then Team Sonic beat Team Rose, Team Dark beat Team Chaotix, Team Dark escaped Team Sonic, and Team Chaotix beat Team Rose. Ricardo Stormsurge Silva asks, how would you rate Sonic Racing Crossworlds after your first official playthrough? I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10, 9 with friends. Do you have any expectations that you hope to see from Sonic the Hedgehog 4? Not really, I'm just along for the ride at this point. I guess the only thing I would want is to see Metal Sonic be a badass, but that's kinda expected. Riley asks, which VA works best for Shadow and why? Well, they all fit Shadow well enough in their own contexts, but if I had to pick one, I guess Kirk Thornton. He fits Shadow best where he is. What's a moment in this Sonic game that you will always remember no matter what? The first time I fought the Nega-Wisp armor. That is just an awesome moment that I will never forget. RoboFrontier88 asks, are you excited to see the Mario Galaxy movie? I get the feeling a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but not really. Nothing I've seen in the trailers has really sold me on jumping all the way to Galaxy. I mean, we're already combining Galaxy, Wonder, and Odyssey. Like, what are we doing here, people? Savage Genius asks, if you've seen Friday Night Dustin, what's your favorite and least favorite song of that mod? I have not seen that mod because I have no interest in Dusttale as an AU. What is your favorite movie that is not inspired by a video game franchise? Probably Into the Spider-Verse. That's just an amazing movie from start to end. Shadow Roof the Oni Commentary asks, what's your favorite dinosaur from the Jurassic Park films? Rexy the T-Rex, easily my favorite. S-Queen76 asks, what is your opinion on Pixar's Luca? Haven't seen it, but it seems to be well liked. What is your opinion on Pixar's Turning Red? Haven't seen that one either, though I've heard that one's less liked. Superboy26 asks, do you read comic books? And if so, do you read DC, Marvel, or Sonic? I used to read a bunch of DC and Marvel when I was a kid, but nowadays I'm not too much of a comic book reader. What are your honest thoughts on the casting choices for the Super Mario Galaxy movie and the FNAF 2 movie? If they do a good job, then they're good at their job. If they do a shit job, then they shouldn't have been cast. It's simple as that. Super Caden Gamer TV asks, do you plan on streaming Deltarune soon? Maybe not soon per se, but someday I would like to stream it, assuming the fanbase can let me play the game how I want to play it. Does pineapple go on pizza?
Not scientifically possible!
Supersonic Andrew asks, what are your thoughts on Mario and animatronic horror? I have not seen what you're referring to, so I guess I have no thoughts. When did you first come up with Car vs. Sonic.exe as a matchup? I'm not too sure, actually. I think it was a few months before I made the top 10 most wanted matchups, because I had seen it floating around a little bit beforehand, and it wasn't until more recently that I became truly invested in it. Supersonic Max 404 TV asks, what are your overall thoughts on Death Battle's Champions Island? It was a fun idea that had some really high highs and extremely low lows. Swordstar Cheesecake Bites asks, what toppings do you like on your pizza? Pepperoni and occasionally sausage. Top 5 favorite songs in Sonic Unleashed? Alright. Versus Perfect Dark Gaia, Endless Possibilities, versus Egg Dragoon, Boss Day Theme, and Boss Night Theme. TFM 102 Mark II asks, have you ever made any OCs, fanfiction, or artworks related to your favorite franchises? Well, technically my avatar is the Sonic OC, but beyond that, I did make a rewrite of FNAF Help Wanted 2. I'm really proud of how that turned out, even though it didn't get many views. What superpower do you wish you had in real life? Super speed. The amount of stuff I could get done with that power is incredible. That Irrelevant Animator asks, you made it clear that you think Eggman beats Bowser in a fight, but who do you think wins in a fight between Mario and Sonic? Right now, it's kinda close, but I'd say Sonic wins more times than not. What's your favorite Final Smash from any of the Super Smash Bros. Games? That one guy asks, what's a specific Death Battle MU idea that you think disrespects both characters? Madeline versus Peppino. Both are simplified down to their barest essentials, and it does nothing for their actual characters. What's your favorite video that you've made? Probably the Why I Love Undertale video. That was a really special one. The Cartoon Dude Christmas asks, what's your favorite and least favorite Walt Disney Animation Studios movie? My favorite would probably be Wreck-It Ralph, and my least favorite, of the ones I've seen anyway, would probably be Frozen 2. After your top 10 favorite horror and indie game matchups, do you have any plans to do more top 10 favorite blank matchups? Not particularly, but I'm sure the interest will spark me one day or another. The Dark Knight Plays asks, what are your standards to boycott things? Usually it has to be something not only worth boycotting, but also something that will change due to the boycott. Because let's be honest with ourselves, usually when boycotts happen, it does piss all to change things. The Shadow Reviewer asks, since Amy is going to be in Sonic the Hedgehog 4, who do you think should voice her? I have no idea, I'll just see who they cast for her and see if she does a good job. If you had to pick a Sonic game that should get a remake or remaster treatment, which game would it be and why? For a remaster specifically, I'd pick one or both storybook games because they could use a glow up and some quality of life changes, but for a full-blown remake, I would go with Sonic Battle. The concept has a lot that could be done on not just the GBA. TM Amoga asks, is Final Escape still your favorite Friday Night Funkin' song? I honestly couldn't tell you. While I still like that song, I've also listened to several others that are really good, if not better. Underdog F1 Foof asks, forks or spoons? I'm gonna be a wild card and go with sporks, the best of both worlds. Uraraka _ now Queen Robin Incendio, what the heck is this name, asks, have you ever seen a WWE event? Not live, but I have seen some in passing. William Nee asks, what storytelling and character tropes can you absolutely not stand and it boils your blood every time they're used? I wouldn't say it bothers me to that extent, but I'm not really a fan of the liar revealed and fish out of water tropes. I just find those boring, awkward, and a little annoying. You just discovered you have a healing factor. What's the first dangerous, possibly life-threatening thing you do to figure out how potent it is? I let myself get hit by a bus. Even though it'll hurt like hell, there's a solid chance of me surviving it. Venom Bass asks, what is your favorite fan-made EXE? For a while it was Xenophanes, but more recently I got into Sonic.exe Rewrite and he's pretty awesome. What are your thoughts on Outcome Memories? Never played that game. Vinster asks, have you ever thought about doing any more watch party live streams like your Murder Drones one? At some point or another. In fact, I plan to do one for the Amazing Digital Circus when the final episode comes out. Have you heard of Nintendo High? Yes, I have. Haven't engaged with it much, but I know it exists. And last but not least, XenoJamie2003 asks, do you think a remake should add new story content? Not all the time, but if it does, it should be good. What is your favorite power? Super speed, baby. The best one there is. And that's all the questions I got this year. Thank you all for tuning in and submitting all these questions, and I hope I've answered them to the best of my ability. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.